Now welcoming Mr. Hawk, an internationally acclaimed author and multiple literature award winner. He has been a respected author for more than 20 years and has been avidly studying Hawthorne for the past 12 years. He's an honorary member of the Hawthorne Association and a devoted writer for the magazine Hawthorne. Recently, he published a book named Conversation with Hawthorne, which sold more than 200,000 copies in 2 weeks. Now, welcoming Mr. Tim Hawk to the Ewki Cheng Show to talk about his thoughts on Hawthorne and his philosophies. Hello, Mr. Hawk. It's so nice to meet you. You've been all over the news, and I've been dying to meet you. Mr. Hawk, the world's been hearing a lot about you in these past few months, mainly because of your amazing book, A Conversation with Hawthorne. It is filled with such intricate, deep philosophies, and we're so impressed with your work.
Yes. Would you describe a few of your favorite Hawthorne works or quotes? I believe you've been subtly mentioning this topic in your book. But our audience here is hoping that you go more in depth.
Of course. My gosh, there's so many. I remain ever so impressed with everything he has to share. Truly, after having studied Hawthorne for 12 years, this should come off easily off the top of my head. But all this work is so impressive, and it's nearly impossible to choose. However, if I really have to name something, I would say one of my favorite Hawthorne's work would be The Minister's Black Veil. It's simply fascinating. The part that spoke to me the most is
That's incredible. Black veil, huh?
Yeah, that's really impactful. Can you elaborate on what that truly means, though? Such negative words are used to describe all people. Do you really agree that everyone wears the black veil?
Yes, I completely agree. Hawthorne uses an accusatory and condemnatory tone in this code because he believed that all humans have hidden sins. Yet they only ostracize the main character, Mr. Hooper, for wearing a physical black veil. Hypocritical, really, of the townspeople. Hawthorne believed that people should reveal their true self instead of judging others.
Oh, most definitely. If you don't mind me saying, this actually reminds me of the whole Michelle Carter case.
Oh, right. About that girl who voluntarily assisted in suicide or something? 15 months in jail?
Yes, I believe that Hawthorne's quote from this book can be connected to such incidents.
I have several personal opinions about this issue, but I'd like to give my spot to Tiffany Kuo, stationed in the U.S. to give us more information about Michelle Carter.
Thank you, Allison and Ewki. Today I am standing in front of the Bristol County Prison where Michelle Carter is held. On June 16, 2017, Michelle Carter, 20, was found guilty of involuntary manslaughter for encouraging her boyfriend, Conrad Roy, to commit suicide via text messaging, and she was sentenced to 15 months in prison. Michelle, 17 at the time of her crime, consistently egged Roy, "The time is right and you're ready. You just need to do it. You can't keep living this way. You just need to do it like you did last time and not think about it and just do it, babe." On July 12, 2014, Roy drove into a Kmart parking lot and connected his truck to a water pump that released carbon monoxide. His body was found the following day. Roy had reportedly been depressed due to his parents' divorce and had been physically and mentally abused by family members, a judge was told. However, Carter had also struggled with mental illness. Her lawyers claimed that the antidepressants that she took influenced her behavior. But it was too late. Prosecutors preferred to cast her as a callous narcissist who craved the sympathy of her peers and believed a suicidal boyfriend would earn her a popularity boost. For Ewki Cheng Show, this is Tiffany Kuo.
Wow, that's a lot to take in.
It sure is. I now see how well Hawthorne's philosophies in your book fit into our world today. In Hawthorne's The Minister's Black Veil, Hooper is ostracized and shunned due to his black veil. People afraid of the unknown made assumptions that would explain this occasion, disregarding whether their assumptions and rumors are right or wrong.
Yes, exactly. The thing is, everyone commits sins and wrongdoings, but we're just too afraid to accept it. The very fact that suicide is illegal reveals how self-harm confuse our sympathies and mindsets. The suicide is one's own victim, one's own murderer. Like the townspeople of Milford, we naturally want to blame someone for committing a sin and thus redirect our attention to someone more vulnerable, like in this case, Michelle Carter or Mr. Hooper.
Since we are reluctant to further condemn the victim, Roy, we find it hard for us to find closure on this case. But with his suicide, we find another party to hold responsible, Carter, thereby allowing us to find closure. There is no doubt that people have said threatening things to other people, such as telling someone to go kill themselves.
Right, but I suppose the difference between us and Michelle Carter is whether or not our words and actions have been publicized to the entire world, or whether or not our words and actions have allegedly caused the death of another. It is so much easier to psychologically reproach someone for their mindset, for their bad mindsets and misconduct, rather than to face our own hypocritical mindset and contradictory feelings towards an event or thing.
Indeed, I believe that matches up completely with my thoughts in regards to the minister's black veil. You also get quite a strong sense of that opinion in my book as well.
Yes, a conversation with Hawthorne. Your book is really relevant in many current events and occurrences in our modern world. Personally, I find it silly that critics say that because this novel is connected to Hawthorne and Hawthorne's opinions were based off of the past, that it isn't relevant today. But in fact, I think that philosophies are still really relevant today. I mean, after all, you are world acclaimed and your book is very popular. I'm sure the audience here all agrees.
Yes, thank you, Allison, and of course, Mr. Hawk. However, we are going to a break right now, but we will be back after the commercials. Stay with us to hear more about the incredible Mr. Hawk and his new novel, A Conversation with Hawthorne. Thank you very much.
You are watching The Better Show starring Ewki, Cheng.
Back from the break, welcome back to the Ewki Cheng Show.
Welcome!
So, Mr. Hawk, please continue introducing your New York Times bestseller book, A Conversation with Hawthorne.
Yes. Perhaps you can describe the part in your book where you analyze the passage in The Minister's Black Veil where Hawthorne describes Mr. Hooper delivering his powerful sermon while wearing the veil.
Oh, no problem. So the quote from Hawthorne's short story reads,
The sermon was tinged rather darkly than usual, with gentle gloom on Mr. Cooper's temperament. The subject had reference to secret sin, and those sad mysteries which we hide from our nearest and dearest, and would fain conceal from our own consciousness, even forgetting that the ominous and secret. Each member of the congregation, the most innocent girl, that man of carded breast, felt as creature had crept upon them, behind his awful veil, and discovered the corded inquiry of the Messiah.
What a powerful passage. Please provide us your explanations and analysis of the quote. How would you describe the overall tone of the quote and how is it significant to the passage?
So through the expression of a critical and patronizing tone in depicting the townspeople's reaction to dynamic changes of Hooper's appearance and character in the short story The Minister's Black Veil, Hawthorne portrays the power of one's imagination and guilt that resides in all beings due to our naturally sinful characters.
Can you please elaborate upon the significance of the tone? Perhaps provide our viewers some examples from the passage of this tone that you described.
Yes, through a patronizing and critical tone, Hawthorne exemplifies how the imagination of one derives from the very guilt of his or her own wrongdoings and malicious acts, strengthening his argument of the malevolence of mankind.
So would you say that the black veil is a symbol, an important symbol of some sort?
Oh yes, definitely. As a symbol of hidden sins, the black veil is disapproved by the people, evident through the words such as gloom, darkly, and awful when referring to the veil.
Oh yes, definitely. I agree with the fact that the veil is an important symbol to the short story. Speaking of the short story, can you explain why you think that this passage is significant to the entire story as a whole?
Wow, thank you so much for the comprehensive discussion and analysis of the passage. I'm sure many viewers are intrigued in buying your new book.
Yes. And now, we're going to enter our break and we're going to discuss the realization of human sins when we come back.
You are watching The Better Show starring Ewki, Cheng.
Welcome back to our discussion of Tim Huck's new book, A Conversation with Hawthorne.
Indeed, in your book, The Conversation with Hawthorne, you also mentioned how Hawthorne uses dramatic dialogue and interactions built on his theme. Can you give us an example?
Sure. In The Minister's Black Veil, there is a scene where Elizabeth confronts Mr. Hooper. I'm sure you all are very familiar with that. And Hawthorne really crafted that scene into something symbolic. The writing is just fascinating. I'll read the part.
If I hide my face for sorrow, there is cause enough, Mr. Cooper merely replied. And if I cover it for secret sin, one mortal might not do the same. And with this gentle but uncomfortable obstinacy, he resisted all her entreaties. At length, Elizabeth sat silent. For a few moments, she appeared lost in thought, considering, however, what new methods might be tried to withdraw her lover from so dark a fantasy, which, if it had no other meaning, was perhaps a symbol of mental disease. She arose and stood trembling.
Wow, what amazing talent Hawthorne possesses. His words really hit me, and no wonder you are so obsessed with his work. Can you point out specifically how Hawthorne is able to deliver his message through masterfully crafted piece?
Through dynamic dialogue between Mr. Hooper and Elizabeth, his lover, Hawthorne not only conveys Mr. Hooper's determination
Wow, I never noticed that such a short passage can contain so much meaning. Thank you, Mr. Hawk, for your explanations. You are indeed an expert on Hawthorne. Up next, we'll have a famous scandal that we would like to discuss upon. We'll be back shortly.
You are watching The Better Show starring Ewki Cheng.
You're back. Speaking of the realization of sudden sin, the infamous Harvey Weinstein has caused a huge scandal in 2017. Tiffany, would you like to enlighten us on this issue?
Sure. Many women in the entertainment industry have reported sexual harassment by Harvey Weinstein, a famous Hollywood producer. 2 decades ago, Weinstein invited Ashley Judd to his hotel room where she thought she would be having a business breakfast. There, he appeared in a bathrobe and asked her to massage him and watch him shower, she recalled in an interview. In 2014, Weinstein invited Emily Nestor, who had worked just 1 day as a temporary employee, to the same hotel and offered to boost her career if she accepted his sexual advances. Weinstein then badgered her into giving him a massage while he was naked. An investigation by the New York Times found previously undisclosed allegations against Mr. Weinstein stretching over nearly 3 decades, documented through interviews with current and former employees and film industry workers, as well as legal records, emails, internal documents following the businesses he has run, Miramax and the Weinstein Company. Since then, Gwyneth Paltrow, Angelina Jolie, Cara Delevingne, and 50 other women have come forward with allegations ranging from rape to sexual harassment by Mr. Weinstein. Lauren O'Connor writes, "I am a 28-year-old woman trying to make a living and a career. Harvey Weinstein is a 64-year-old world-famous man, and this is his company. The balance of the power is me, 0, Harvey Weinstein, 10.
Before allegations of sexual harassment arose in October, Harvey Weinstein has pulled levers on his carefully constructed inheritance. He gathered many people to help him earn his producers. His final and failed rounds of manipulation shows how he has operated for more than 3 decades. By trying to turn others to his instruments or shields for his behavior, Weinstein and his brother Bob has participated in payoffs to women as far as 1990. Due to his powerful position as a Hollywood producer, many aspiring actresses were sent by their managers to meet Harvey in hopes of advancing their careers. Little did people know that Harvey took advantage of these aspiring women to satisfy his sexual desires.
Just like Elizabeth in the minister's black veil, we were hit by the sudden realization of the manipulation and the mistreatment behind the scenes of Hollywood, whereas she realized that everyone has committed sins. Many women have been afraid to stand up to someone with such high power for the sake of their success and their careers, sacrificing their own bodies in hopes of being employed by their management agents is like Hooper sacrificing himself for the greater good of the townspeople. The suffering in both Hooper and actresses have been substantial.
I definitely believe that the 2 events do have much in common.
This marks the end of our interview with the famous Tim Hawk. Thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it.
To thank Tim Hawk for allowing us to interview him, we would like to give him the original manuscript of the Scarlet Letter by Nathaniel Hawthorne in the special leather case.
Thank you.
Tim Hawk, everyone.
Yay!
Thank you.
A Conversation with Hawthorne out now.